What is good, y'all? I know. It's been a little minute. I apologize. Grateful to be back here. I missed y'all, man. I missed this. So I hope everybody's doing well. Appreciate you tapping in. Thank you for being here. And if it's your first time watching a video on my channel, my name is MC. Welcome. I hope you enjoyed today and you're able to take something positive away from today's video. Really just want to jump on here and share some thoughts about the topic of our gates. You know, what we let in our gates and then also what flows out of us through our gates. So this is something that's taken a lot more of my focus and attention lately over, honestly, the past couple years. Just being more mindful of things I'm letting inside, right through my ears, through my eyes, through my mouth. Those are really our main gates. And then also lastly, our feet. As we'll see from the couple scriptures I'll share today, those are kind of the four categories of our gates. And it can be tough, you know, once you really start to analyze what you're willingly doing and partaking in and letting in all of our gates, it really settles in internally. And that's what builds up and then ultimately comes out of us through our actions, our words, and really where we end up going, where our feet lead us, where we head into on a day-to-day basis. So just gonna pack a few scriptures today, really just 4 verses out of Proverbs. And if you got your Bible, by all means jump into it with me, but I'll also kind of throw some up on the screen for you guys as well as we're running through it. And you know what? It's been so long since I uploaded. Your boy got glasses now. I gotta bust out the handy dandy spectacles. That's how you know it's been a minute. I've had these for a while now. But anywho, we're gonna be in Proverbs chapter 4 today, and really just again kind of 4 verses to jump into. It'll be verses 23 through 27. So again, Proverbs 4, 23 through 27. Solomon gives us this in our wisdom literature portion of the Bible. Solomon, again, considered one of the wisest men who ever lived, if not the wisest man to ever live. Additionally, also one of the wealthiest men of all time. So a man who had, from a worldly stance, everything you could ever imagine, right? He has all the wisdom and all the resources, all the finances, all the women, right? You name it, you could go down the list. He has everything. And I always just like to add that in his context because he's the author of these Proverbs, author of this portion of the text. And it just adds a little bit more to it when you get to know who the author is, where they're coming from, why they're sharing a perspective a certain way. And so just with that in mind, just kind of jumping into the text here. So starting at 23, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Keep your mouth free of perversity. Keep corrupt talk far from your lips. Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Give careful thought to the paths for your feet, and be steadfast in all your ways. Do not turn right or left. Keep your foot from evil. Real straightforward and simple. Again, just 4 verses. I got the NIV version. That's what I was reading through here. So a couple things to just kind of note as we backtrack through the text, starting with our heart. Solomon is saying above everything else, like hold this as the most important thing. Everything else falls under it. Guard your heart, because everything you do flows from it. All of our thoughts flow from what's in our heart. All of our words flow from what's in our heart. All of our actions, where we go, what we do with our lives, the decisions we make, everything flows from what's inside our heart. And I love how he starts it there and then proceeds to kind of go into the different gates that we have. Again, the 4 gates. So strictly from that, he goes into the next verse. 24 is keep your mouth free from perversity. Keep corrupt talk far from your lips. So this is powerful to me because he's starting with saying guard your heart, protect your heart. And then step 1, so that technically that's step 1 is guard your heart. Step 1A is keep corrupt talk far from your lips. So there's a very, very popular scripture, maybe you even heard it said before, right? The power of the tongue is life or death. Every word you say has the power of one or the other. So keep corrupt talk, keep negativity, keep gossip, keep those things far from you, and just speak life. It's much easier said than done at times, but it's also, again, what are we consuming? Are we bringing things in? Are we listening to things that are giving us life, uplifting us, fulfilling us, making us feel peace, and again, just overall life? Is that what we're putting in? Is that what we're taking in? Or are we taking in negativity, taking in corrupt talk from others, corrupt talk from music, from TV, from entertainment, right? What are we bringing in? Because that'll ultimately be the root of what comes out of us. And it's a step in how to keep corrupt talk far from our lips and far from our mouths, is based on what we're actually intaking, what we're bringing in. So gate 1 is our mouth, our tongue. Gate 2, in verse 25, let your eyes look look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. So our second gate is our eyes. Now there's certain things that even if we fix our gaze straight ahead, sometimes life happens, right? We see things we don't really intend to. We get put in situations where we're looking at something, or life happens to the point where it's like trauma is thrown your way, or a crazy situation happens, and we see stuff that scars us. We never intentionally went out of our way to seek something like that. So I kind of throw that caveat in there because I understand that some things is out of our control in terms of what we're looking at, what we're seeing, but a majority of the time, we do have a say in what our eyes are looking at, what we're fixing our gaze on. And this just kind of shifted things for me, because once you realize what you're looking at is really settling down in your heart, like it's all internalizing. So it's like, what are you watching, right? It's so easy to be on social media for hours every day, or just watch YouTube videos all day long, like movies, TV shows, the news channel. Just a little challenge to you on this end is, what are you letting in your eye gates? What are you intentionally going out your way to watch? Is it bringing you ultimately life? Is it something that's bringing positivity your way? Or do you end up turning TV off, turning your phone off, and now your mind's racing, thinking about a million different things, and you feel anxiety, you feel stressed out about what you've been watching, right? It's one of those things to just kind of be more intentional about how you're spending your time and what you're letting in through your eye gates. Moving forward to verse 26, so we got gate 1 is our mouth, gate 2 is our eyes, gate 3 is our feet. Give careful thought to the paths for your feet, and be steadfast in all your ways. Do not turn right or left to keep your foot from evil. Again, just a little caveat, right? Sometimes we end up in situations where we get led down a path, we get led into a room, a situation, an accident, right? A season or a place where we didn't really have a choice, right? Life just kind of happened to us. It wasn't necessarily our intention to bring our bodies, bring our temples into a situation that was going to hurt us or put us in a bad spot. But again, there is a majority of the time where we do have a choice in where we go and what we do. And just plain and simple, right? Keep your foot from evil. Don't intentionally keep going into places and going into rooms and going into friends' houses and situations where you know that you're going to put yourself in a bad spot, a spot where you're suffering with temptation, or you're just surrounded by a lot of negativity, a lot of people that's just kind of pulling everything from you and not feeding back into you, right? Just be a little bit more mindful and careful of what direction you're walking and which way you're heading, what rooms you're entering into. This one is super important, because if you're not physically there, you can automatically shut off your other gates, right? You're not putting yourself in a position to see certain things you shouldn't see, or listen to certain things you shouldn't be hearing, right? It's just, I just encourage you guys to be mindful in where you're taking your body, literally as simple as it sounds. Just be mindful of where you're going. Keep your foot far from evil. And I know I mentioned the fourth gate, the final gate is actually our ears. And just rereading through a couple verses prior to where we started, starting in verse 20, so originally I started at 23, above all else guard your heart. Backing up to verse 20, Solomon says, my son, pay attention to what I say. Turn your ear to my words. Do not let them out of your sight. Keep them within your heart, for they are life to those who find them, and health to one's whole body. So literally, words that you hear can bring health to your whole body and life to those who find them. So our fourth final gate, and this one to me has been really one of the most important ones in my journey, is our ears. And why it's been so important to me is because I've been more intentional about what I listen to every day. Quick little side story. When I was growing up, I used to listen to music every night when I went to sleep. Kid you not, I started with a CD player and some of those old headphones with the little styrofoam circles on them. You know what I mean? If you know, you know. But I would go to sleep every night listening to music. And it started again when I was in elementary school. So right around like probably age 7, 8, continued on, right? Ended up upgrading, got like a little iPod in middle school, and would play it on a speaker instead of through my headphones, you know. Even if it was just soft, I would just always go to sleep with music on, no matter what. And the genre I've always been a fan of is just rap and hip hop. So I'd have certain albums or artists or playlists I would just shuffle as I'm literally asleep. So for 6, 7, 8 hours a night, I'm just taking this in, these lyrics. Like the music that I was listening to too is pretty rough, right? It's like street rap, you know. It's like a lot of talk about just violence, money, greed, idolatry, adultery, like a bunch of these things that as I'm getting older, I'm realizing like, wait, why do I know every single word to that song? And like, I've never thought about what the lyrics are actually saying. Like I'm just rapping it in my head, or like it's stuck in my head throughout the entire day. And I'm like, wait, why? Like, why am I really like just letting these words and these thoughts just flow through my head every single day? And again, I'm just speaking for me personally. This is just my journey. Like I started to get a little convicted about that. I'm like, maybe I should be a little more intentional about what I listen to. So seasons over the past 2 years, it's really been a 2-year journey for me. I would just like cut off rap completely. I would just listen to, instrumentals or worship music, right? For a couple weeks, months at a time, I would fast from rap music. And I just started to notice like such a big difference in my thought patterns and even my emotions on a day-to-day. Like I started having less anxiety. I started to feel less irritable, less frustrated, less tense. And to me, it was just crazy starting to realize like, man, the music I was listening to had a way more of an impact on my overall day-to-day experience. It sounds so simple, but it's something that I never even considered. And maybe you can relate to it, maybe not. But I wanted to share that as like a challenge, right? A little bit of a homework assignment. Kind of focus in on one of your gates or even all of them if they apply to you. Just kind of reflect on it, right? Maybe for you, it's your eyes. You've been watching a ton of shows, a ton of movies, a ton of news that is not really doing much for you. It's not bringing you life. You end up leaving empty or deflated or just unfulfilled after you watch hours and hours of shows or YouTube videos, you name it. Maybe it's your feet. Maybe you got to be more intentional about where you're going, where you're spending time, what rooms you're entering into. Whichever one hits for you the most, I just encourage you to try something new. You know what I mean? Kind of implement some boundaries, some different habits, maybe do a fast like I did. It was pretty hard, I'm not gonna lie to you. So, hey, I'm with you if you want to go that route. It can be hard, but at the same time, it's very eye-opening, right? You get to learn a lot about yourself, a lot about the gates, right? I learned a lot more about that. And I just want to be here as an encouragement to you that if there's things that seem to be impossible to try and switch, right? Habits that have been there for years that might just seem so routine and regular that it's like, man, there's no way I could stop watching this or stop listening to that or stop going here and there. My encouragement is that you can, like, just it's not impossible, it's truly not. It takes baby steps. Sometimes you got to crawl before you can walk, and just try. You might slip, you might fall down, you might double back and go back. Of course, see, again, for me, I was going back to rap time and time again. After like a fast, I'd be like, you know what, it's all right, I'm gonna go back to do this. And I listen to rap for a couple weeks, then it's like, man, I don't know, I'm not feeling right. And just time after time after time, it was like you learn more and more and more about yourself and what you can handle, and certain things that hit your soul and spirit a little bit differently than maybe they did prior to a fast or prior to you trying not to do certain things. So give yourself some grace. You're gonna slip, you're gonna fall. We're human. But at the end of the day, my main purpose in this channel and dropping these videos is to just help you guys get better one day at a time. Little incremental changes, and day after day, week after week, year after year, we can look back at an older version of ourselves and be like, man, I progressed a lot since then. I got better in a lot of different areas in life since that stage. So to me, that's what it's all about. Not perfection, but just progressing every single day to become a better version of ourselves. So that's all I got for y'all. I appreciate you being here, and thank you again for your patience. I know it's been a little minute, right, since I uploaded, but happy to be back. I love you guys, and until next time, peace.